Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always. What are
Yeah.
we looking at today?
Well, we're tackling neurodiversity and mental health.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, there's this really fascinating article that just came out from Queen Mary University of London.
Okay.
It's called Beyond Labels, a new framework for neurodiversity and mental health.
Catchy.
Right. So basically, we're going to try to unpack this whole new way of thinking about neurodiversity,
Yeah.
and what it could mean for how we actually support mental health.
Sounds good to me. Lay it on me.
Okay, so first things first, right? Neurodiversity. It's everywhere.
It really is.
Like way more common than a lot of people think.
Yeah, this article, it points out that neurodiversity, we're talking about autism, ADHD, dyslexia, all of that. It affects something like 15% of the global population.
15%. Whoa. I knew it was common, but wow, that's a lot of people.
Right. So we really need to make sure we're understanding this stuff correctly. And, well, historically, there's been some issues with that.
Yeah, you're right. So what's the problem with the way we've been approaching neurodiversity? I mean, up to now.
Well, think about how these things are diagnosed, right? We've got these systems like the DSM-5 and ICD-11. You've probably heard of those. They're basically the manuals that mental health pros use.
Yeah, to diagnose different conditions.
Exactly. But these systems, they can be pretty rigid, right?
Like black and white. You either have it or you don't.
Exactly. You get put into a box. But the thing is, neurodiversity, it's way more nuanced than that. It doesn't really fit into neat little categories.
So this new research is saying ditch the labels.
Yeah.
Think about it more like a spectrum.
Yeah, like a spectrum.
Can you give me an example? If someone's autistic, what does that mean in this spectrum model?
So imagine like a line.
Yeah.
Okay. And along this line, you have all these variations. So instead of saying you definitively have autism, it's more like, okay, you fall somewhere on this spectrum.
Got it.
And you might exhibit certain traits, to different degrees. And this isn't like set in stone either. It can shift throughout your life.
So it's more about figuring out your unique profile on the spectrum rather than just getting a label.
Exactly.
And how does mental health fit into all of this?
Ah, now that's the key. Because, often people who are neurodivergent, they also experience other things.
Like anxiety, depression, stuff like that.
Right. And that's where this traditional boxes approach can really fall short.
How so?
Well, someone might get diagnosed with, say, anxiety, but, they may not look at the underlying reasons why. The reasons might be linked to their neurodevelopmental differences.
So you're missing a big piece of the puzzle if you don't consider that.
Exactly. You're treating the symptom, but not necessarily the root cause. And that's where the spectrum model, it can make a huge difference.
Okay, so how does this new model help us better support mental health then?
Well, it encourages us to see the whole person.
Right.
You consider their whole neurodevelopmental profile and any other mental health concerns they might have. And then you can start to create much more personalized support.
The article mentions tailored support and interventions. What does that look like in real life?
Sure. Imagine someone struggles with, let's say, sensory overload, right?
Yeah.
Which can be common for people on the autism spectrum. So
Yeah.
instead of just suggesting, some generic coping strategies, a therapist using this model, they would really dig in, understand your specific sensitivities, your strengths, and think about the environments where you're having these challenges. Then, work with you to develop really specific strategies that actually fit your needs.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all.
So this would also change how we do assessments, right?
Definitely. It moves away from those standardized tests, the ones that try to put everyone into the same. Exactly. And instead, you'd focus on understanding, okay, what are this person's strengths?
Yeah.
Where are their challenges?
Yeah.
And then based on that, you create a support plan that actually works.
So it's less about, does this person meet the criteria for a diagnosis? And more about, where do they fall on the spectrum and what do they need to thrive?
Exactly. And it celebrates neurodiversity.
Instead of trying to, fix it.
Right.
I mean, this really does feel like a big change, potentially. Do you think it could actually, revolutionize things?
I think it has huge potential. The lead author of the study, Dr. Georgia Michelini, she actually uses the word revolutionize.
Wow, really?
Yeah, to describe how this could change the way we understand and support mental health in neurodivergent people. Imagine a world where, people's needs are truly understood.
Yeah.
Where they're not just labeled, but seen as, a whole person.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
So Okay, bringing it all back to you, our listeners. Here's the key takeaway, all right? There's this shift happening in how we view neurodiversity. We're moving away from, those rigid categories and towards like a more nuanced spectrum-based approach. And this has the potential to lead to better assessments, more effective support,
Absolutely.
and ultimately, I think, a more inclusive and just, compassionate world.
Yeah.
But here's like a final thought, right? Something to ponder. We know that neurodiversity is really common, and it often intersects with mental health, in really unique ways. So how do we change how we design our schools, our workplaces, even our social spaces, to account for that?
Right.
What would a truly inclusive world look like if we really embrace this understanding?
That's the question.
It is. It is. All right, everybody, until next time, keep on diving.
Keep on diving.